One of these men is the top midshipman officer at the United States Naval Academy. What is your name, please?
My name is Robert Darby.
What is your name, please?
My name is Robert Darby.
What is your name, please?
My name is Robert Darby.
Two of these people are imposters. Only one is the real Robert Darby and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now, here is our host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introducing our panel, may I tell you Polly Bergen isn't with us tonight. As many of you know, she's in the hospital. But I've checked, and she's coming along just fine, and we're counting on having her back with us within the next couple of weeks. So, Polly, hurry up and get well. Sitting in for Polly tonight is one of our very favorite people, and bless her heart, she postponed a trip for Hawaii. She was all packed and ready to go and flew in from California today by jet this very morning, as a matter of fact. So sitting in Polly Bergen's spot tonight is Miss Betty White.
Hi, Polly.
Next to Betty, the star of the Broadway hit Sunrise at Campobello, Mr. Ralph Bellamy. And then a lady who, with her husband, Moss Hart, will be interviewed this week, it's Friday, as a matter of fact, on Person to Person by Mr. Edward R. Murrow, Miss Kitty Carlisle. And finally, one of the bright lights of Sunday nights and the Steve Allen Show, and one of the bright lights of our show, Mr. Tom Poston. Now, panel, will you please follow along with your copies of this first affidavit tonight? I, Midshipman Robert Darby, am a member of this year's graduating class at the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Maryland. I was appointed to the Academy while a member of the Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps at another university where I was an engineering student. Academically, I stand in the top 5% of my class. I won a varsity letter in boxing. The 6 stripes on my uniform indicate my rank as commander of the entire brigade of over 3,000 midshipmen. Signed, Robert Darby. All right, panel, you have 3 young gentlemen here, all claim to be Robert Darby, midshipman at the United States Naval Academy. Let's begin the questioning with Betty White. Betty?
Thank you, Bud. You all look so stern and military. Number one, at what university were you studying engineering when you got your appointment?
Florida Southern College.
Florida
Southern College.
Southern College. Number 2, what university were you attending?
Duke University.
Number 3, what university were you attending?
Michigan State University.
Number 2, who invented the cantilever?
I'm afraid I don't know that answer.
Number 3, who invented the cantilever?
I'm afraid I don't know, ma'am.
Number 1?
I'm afraid I don't know.
No fun at all. Number 3, which is heavier, a welterweight or a flyweight?
A welterweight is heavier, ma'am.
Did you call... They're beginning to call me madam.
Oh, he said ma'am. He said ma'am.
Number 2, what is the lieutenant commander rank the equivalent of in Army rank?
That is a major in the Army.
Ralph Bellamy, please.
Number 1, what's the graduation date this year?
June 3rd, sir.
June 3rd. Number 2, how many will graduate?
Approximately 800.
How many?
Approximately 800, sir.
Number 3, how many naval officers wear the same number of stripes on their uniform as you?
Approximately 100.
100? Was that your
right.
answer? Number 1, the same question. How many naval officers are wearing the same number of stripes as you?
Could you qualify that again, sir?
If you want to, you can. Number 2, what would you say?
The midshipmen first class wear 1 stripe. As far as...
No, how many wear 6?
Oh, wear 6. Oh,
In the Navy,
Just
huh?
1 man.
One man.
Kitty Carlisle, please.
Number 1, what is the name of the superintendent of the Naval Academy?
Superintendent Rear Admiral Nelson.
And before that? Before that, number 2?
That was Rear Admiral Smedberg.
Number 3, as a midshipman, do you rate a salute from an enlisted man?
We do, ma'am, but we usually don't get it.
sad. Number one, can you tell me what famous American naval captain went to Russia and became a great friend of the Tsarina?
Captain John Paul Jones.
Tom Poston.
Thank you, Bud. Number two, what time do you go to bed at night?
22:20, sir. 22:20.
What's that in Navy time?
That's Navy time.
How many bells is that, number two?
That's 20 minutes after 4 bells. 10 minutes before 5 bells.
10 minutes before 5? That's a lot of noise to try to sleep through. Number one, as a boxer, could you demonstrate how to hook off a jab?
Yes, sir.
Number two?
That's it. Time to vote. At least you know that one of them knows how to hook off a jab. All right, time to vote, of course, without consultation, as always. Will you mark your ballots, panel, and select thereby number 1, number 2, or number 3. Remember, the team of challengers will get $250 for every incorrect vote. Okay, panel, all ready? How about you, Betty? For whom did you vote?
I did it again. I was so sure when they were standing up there tonight because of the way number 3 stood there, he had to be the one, and I touted myself off because of number 1's answers. But that hooking off that left jab, that got to me a little.
Okay, Ralph, your vote.
Number 2. He looks like a boxer, and his answer on the stripes and the number of the graduating class.
Kitty, what about your selection?
I voted for number 2 on the stripes and also on Admiral Smedberg. Also, he's either got a terrible cold or he's been giving a lot of orders on that parade ground.
Tom Poston?
Number 2? Well, I voted for number 1, 2, Bud.
1 or 2?
I don't know now. It's got 1 and a little thing there. That came from breaking the pencil point. I tell you, number 1's military manner is just something beautiful to behold, and the other 2 young men are... Any nation could be proud of them, but I just thought it was number 1.
Okay, there you have it. Now, we've made up our minds, and we trust you're playing along with us at home, and you're as ready as we are to find out how right or wrong we may be. So, we will discover now which one of these 3 gentlemen is the real midshipman at the United States Naval Academy. Will the real Robert Darby please stand up? Good job, sir. Now, number 1, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please?
My name is Art Yeomans, Jr. I'm an insurance salesman with the New York Life Insurance Company.
And number 3, what about you, sir?
My name is Len Donner. I work part-time for the Cameron Polo Modern Construction Company.
Well, I think you'll admit, panel, they all learned their lessons well for this show, didn't they? The bearing and everything else. And in checking the score, we find there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500 from Marlboro. Not bad for an evening's pleasure, and you certainly gave that to us. On your way out, gentlemen, you'll find there is a carton of Marlboro cigarettes for each of you. Good night, good luck, and happy graduation day to you. Now, panel, let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is either Joe Farrell or Jim Conway.
What is your name, please?
My name is either Joe Farrell or Jim Conway.
What is your name, please?
My name is either Jim Conway or Joe Farrell.
All right, panel, if we have you confused, let's make it further confusing by following along with your copies of this affidavit. We, Joe Farrell and Jim Conway, are both firemen for the city of Miami, Florida. Each of us holds an outside job in addition to our duties with the fire department. A few months ago, we began writing songs at the firehouse to while away the time between alarms. Finally, we wrote one we thought had possibilities. We painted the words and the music on a 2-foot by 4-foot sheet of plywood and mailed it to Perry Como. Perry liked it, sang it on his show, and recorded it. Soon it appeared as a Billboard magazine spotlight winner. The name of the tune is Tomboy, Signed, Joe Farrell and Jim Conway. Now, panel, this is a little bit of a switch for you. One of these men actually is Joe Farrell, and one of them is actually Jim Conway. Both of them will tell the truth. Your problem is going to be to find out which of the three is neither Farrell nor Conway. In other words, we have two truth tellers tonight and only one imposter in this round. And the only question you may not ask is, what is your name? That you may not ask because we've got two truth tellers here. And incidentally, before starting the questioning, I'd like to show you the actual copy of the song that was sent to Perry Como. I have it right here. I just happen to have this with me. There it is, on the original piece of plywood. And if you'd like to see how it was mailed, there it is, with all the stamps and everything on it. Can you see it, pal? There it is. Okay. All right, with all the abjurations I've given you, let's start the questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. See, number one, you wrote that on a piece of plywood and sent it to Perry. I wonder, would you mind a suggestion for your next song?
Love to have one.
Write it on a Chevrolet and send it to Dinah Shore. And if you send any more to Perry, write him on Kraft cheese, would you? Or money. Tell me, number two, what was the postage on your postcard to Perry?
Altogether, it was $6.95.
Do you agree with that, number three?
Well, it was $12 with the plywood.
Number one, I'm asking for your price. What do you say about this? Does that plywood cost $6?
It was $6.95.
You can't add. How many bars in the chorus? Number two, how many bars in your chorus of Tomboy?
It's a 32-bar song.
You fellas were thirsty, weren't you?
Betty White, please.
Thank you, Bud. Number one, when you're on duty in the firehouse, what time do you go to bed?
Well, we work a 24-hour shift, and whenever that alarm isn't ringing, we try and either take care of our equipment or catch a little shut-eye.
I was going to try to figure it out in bells, Tom, but it doesn't work that way. Number two, what's on the flip side of Tomboy?
Kiss me, and kiss me.
Well, that's flip enough for me. Number three, what is a release?
A bridge, change from a chorus.
Number one, what is a verse?
The verse is the main theme of the song.
Ralph Bellamy.
Number one, what's ASCAP mean?
The American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers.
Number two, you say between alarms you wrote these songs. How many alarms do you have a day on an average, number two?
Our particular station averages about 3 alarms a day.
3 alarms a day. Number three, what are your duties in the fire department? What are your
I ride a hose company, which is the same as an engine company.
A hose company. Number one, what do you do?
Salvage truck.
Number two, what do you...
Kitty Carlisle.
Number one, what key did you write your song in?
In E.
In E major?
Yes.
How many sharps in E major?
I don't know. I'm not the musician.
Are you a musician, number
no,
two?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How many sharps?
There's 4 sharps in E.
Number three, what is the largest object that you can send through the United States mail?
We had enough trouble sending this one.
Well, that's it, panel. It's time once again to vote. Now, remember, if you will, as we told you at the start, that one of these men is the real Joe Farrell and one is the real Jim Conway. We want you to vote this time for the one imposter. And in so doing, of course, select number one, or number two, or number three. And you're voting for the man who is neither Farrell nor Conway. Okay? All set, panel? Betty, for whom did you vote?
I think he makes a great fireman, but not a very good musician. I think number one is the imposter.
Okay. Ralph?
I felt the same way, principally because number two and three had something that looks like Florida tans, but number three, number two and number one had the postage right. Number three was off on the
What
postage.
did you do? Read it off from here? Huh? All the stamps are on.
Well, they agreed, let's say. They agreed on the amount of postage.
Kitty?
I voted number 1 as the imposter, because he said the verse was the main part of the song, and he didn't know that the key of E has 4 sharps.
And Tom Poston, your vote.
I voted for number 1, too, Bud.
As the imposter.
As the imposter, that's right. I thought that the other 2 gentlemen knew a little bit about the postage and so forth, and the card, and they looked like they might have a little tan under that.
Okay, there we have it now. Let's discover which one of these gentlemen is our imposter, and let's see if you played this little twist game with us at home. Gentlemen, will you all please stand up, please? Okay, now just to draw out the suspense, will the real Joe Farrell please sit down? Now will Joe's partner, the real Jim Conway, please sit down? You did well, panel. Beg pardon?
They didn't agree on the postage. Number 2 said $6 and something. Number 3 said $12 and something.
He included the plywood. One included just the stamps. That's why they didn't
The amount
agree.
of postage.
One included the plywood in the cost of the whole thing and misunderstood your question. Postage and the plywood. The other one just gave you the postage.
I thought they didn't agree on
That's the explanation on it. All right, well, lone imposter, would you mind telling us who you really are now?
My name is John Condon. I'm a partner with William Rogers and Rogers and Condon Associates. We're manufacturers representatives of marine supplies.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, the panel did rather well here tonight. There was only one incorrect vote at $250 for a total of $250, but I do hope you had fun. We certainly enjoyed our little twist round here with you. Thanks for playing it with us. On your way out, you will find that there is a carton of Marlboro cigarettes for each of you. Good night and good luck. And now let's have our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Buzzy Burke.
What is your name, please?
My name is Buzzy Burke.
What is your name, please?
My name is Buzzy Burke.
Again, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, Buzzy Burke, am a 7th grade student and a member of my school safety patrol. Last fall, while on safety patrol duty, I saved a small boy from being killed by an automobile. Yesterday, I was a guest at the White House in Washington, D.C., where the American Automobile Association's Gold Lifesaver Medal was presented to me by the First Lady, Mrs. Eisenhower. Signed, Buzzy Burke. All right, here are 3 nice young men who all claim to be Buzzy Burke, safety patrol hero, and we start this round of questioning with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, how did you save the little boy?
This boy was approaching my island, and he had some papers in his pamphlet, and he dropped the papers, and he forgot, and then he got across to my island, and the light had turned red. He started to run out after the papers, and the car had started to come at him. I ran out and picked the boy by the shoulder and brought him to the island.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Number 2, do you have any special privileges for being in the safety patrol?
Yes, I get out of school early.
Well, by the same token, do you have to go to school a little earlier?
Yeah.
Number 3, what are the color of Mrs. Eisenhower's eyes?
I think they're sort of a blue-green.
Number 1, how many brothers and sisters have you got?
I've got 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
Oh, you've got quite a lot to take care
Got
of.
his own little safety island there. Tom Poston.
Thank you, Bud. Buzzy number 2, is Buzzy a nickname?
Yes, it is. My real name's Thomas.
Thomas? That's a very fine name. Buzzy number 1, what was the name of the room where you met Mrs. Eisenhower?
The reception room.
He looks like his name might be Thomas, too. Buzzy number 2, as a safety patrol member, what would you do for an accident victim.
I'd call an ambulance.
Good idea. Splendid idea. Betty White.
Number 3, when were you the most scared? Last fall when you saved the little boy, or yesterday when you got your award?
Well, I think I was most scared last fall and most nervous yesterday.
Oh, that's
A fine difference for you.
That is the midshipman who is in the top 5. No, that was another one. Number 1, what color dress did Mrs. Eisenhower have on?
Blue and white.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, how old do you have to be to be a school on the school safety patrol?
Well, it's between 5th and 7th grades. The ages vary.
Ralph Bellamy.
Well, number 2, what name would you give the room in which Mrs. Eisenhower received you?
Well, it was sort of like the main rotunda. You just walked right in and there it was.
Number 3, do you remember a name that was given to the room?
It was just termed the reception room.
Her reception room.
The reception room.
You understand there may be another president in a couple of years. He's playing it safe.
Number 1, who is James Haggerty, do you know?
He's the president of the United Nations. Secretary of,
That's it, panel. It's time to vote on that note. So will you please mark your ballots, and in so doing, vote for Safety Patrol member number 1, number 2, or number 3. All set? Ballots marked? Betty, for whom did you vote this time?
I don't even care if I'm wrong. Number 3 just looks like a Buzzy Burke.
And Ralph, your vote?
Number 3, I thought he looked like Buzzy, too, and his statement about being more scared yesterday, I think, sold me.
Kitty?
I'm putting my fate in the hands of number 3. He looks like the kind of guy that could save you any time.
And Tom Poston, please.
I voted for number 2. I tell you, I do think that number 1 is a darling boy, and number 3 is just wonderful. But I love the straightforward way that Buzzy, number 2, answered the questions. Fine young man. And someday,
Isn't he the one whose first name is Thomas?
Someday he'll be the commander at Annapolis. Right?
Well, what's in a name, Tom? What's in a name? The votes are in, the minds are made up. Let's see how right or wrong we did as we find out which of these 3 young men is the real Safety Patrol hero. So will the real Buzzy Burke please stand up? You can sit down. I never saw anybody break up so hard as number 3 is over here. Well, you beat the panel right down the line. Number 2, suppose you stand up and tell us who you really are and what you do, son. Where you go?
My name is Tom Goldsmith. I'm a student at the Collegiate School in New York City.
Thank you very much, Tom. And now, who are you really, and what are you doing? Where do you go, laughing boy?
Well, my name's Jimmy Rosselli, and I go to the Quintano School on 56th Street, and I'm also a reporter on the WQEOI radio news service featured on the Cross Country News Syndicate.
Anything else? Well, boys, thank you very much. And, son, congratulations on your award. It turns out that there were 4 incorrect votes at $250 each, which should make your evening well leavened of a total of $1,000 from Marlboro. Thanks very much, boys. Good night and good luck to you. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight, except to say good night, panel.
Good night, Bud.
And this is Bud Collier saying good night from Marlboro and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is Mark Goodson, Bill Cotton production in association with the CBS Television Network.